Hello, word nerds! Happy Sunday and welcome to our weekly live chat. This week we are doing book club and we are talking about History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I read this just last week and I have a lot of things to say, so I'm super excited to jump into this one. As usual, we'll be kicking off book club by letting you know our star ratings and kind of some initial feelings on the book and just kind of see where things go from there. So, Erin, what'd you think?
I just realized I was holding it upside down. Sweet. Not enough sleep.
Kind of rushed with that cover.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Actually, yeah, that's really true. I really liked this one. I don't actually really have any reason to dock it stars other than the fact that, like, I don't cope well with sad books. Like, I refuse to read The Fault in Our Stars, that type of thing. I only read this because of book club, but I'm glad that I did. I'm going to say 4 out of 5 just because it made me cry in Starbucks.
How dare it?
How dare you?
Yeah, I think I saw that tweet. Like, yes.
Emma?
I'm going to give it like 4.5 stars. I really liked it. I think towards the end it felt a little bit rushed to me. Like some of the stuff that happens at the end was just like very like this, and then it was like over. So taking off half a star for that. It's been a while since I read it, but I remember feeling that way. So, but it is really good, and it made me cry as well, but not in a Starbucks.
You gotta cry in a Starbucks. Come on.
I also give this a 4.5 stars. I really like the characters, and I really like Adam Silvera's way of writing. And it was not it wasn't the typical book that I was expecting when I heard about what it was about and like the two boys and like that kind of thing. Like it was not what I thought it was going to be, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. I feel a lot the same way Erin does, and I was going to call it 4 stars, but like I don't think there was anything wrong with it. It's just not my kind of book, I guess. So 4.25 stars from me. But I really liked it. It was a super quick read and super well written. It's just, I'm never in the mood to be sad.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just finished Turtles All the Way Down, and but it's not really a sad book. Like in my opinion, it's not. But I heard that it was very emotionally devastating, and I was like, "Ooh, do I want to go there? I have to go there. I work in a bookstore. I need to know." I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do it." And it wasn't really that emotionally devastating. But this one is just, I don't necessarily think I was like emotionally sad. There's just a lot of things to feel.
Yeah, I don't think I cried because like the big thing of his death is right up there at the front. So like you're not super attached to anyone when you know kind of what happens. So
yeah.
So this is why I don't read sad books, because it doesn't take a lot to make me cry. Like even just like a character who's really sad. Like I like the character, so I was like sad because the character's sad. So it doesn't take much, man.
Also in actually, this is the very first Adam Silvera book I ever read, and then I just binged his other two. And I really liked it, but I think it has the same feeling as More Happy Than Not, because it's a book that's like I didn't necessarily cry over it, but I still felt a lot of feelings because there's a lot of things to feel in that book. But I will give it to him that they both die at the end. I did cry at that, even though again I know exactly what's gonna happen. It's not subtle at all, and I still cried over that one.
Yeah, that one's right in the title there, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not a plot twist.
In general, I feel like Adam Silvera, like his writing is so good, but he writes the kind of books that I'm not super into because they're like all really sad. A lot of them are like kind of like a strange near future, almost sci-fi thing. It's not really a big thing for me either. Yeah. More Happy Than Not is like there's like a company that will like erase your memories.
What? I'm so down for that. Okay, because like
it's such a good book. It's incredible writing.
And then like they both die
like
at the
that
end.
type of stuff.
They both die at the end. It's like near future, and like you get like a text or you get a phone call on the day you're gonna die, and like they're like, "Hey, you're gonna die today." Yeah, like they can,
that seems like a terrible service. Don't sign me up for
It
that.
is, right? Like, can you give me more than 24 hours notice? Like this. Like even if you have to get evicted from an apartment, you still get like a month.
Yeah, really.
It's like, hey,
You're gonna get
FYI,
evicted from
you're
your
gonna die
body.
sometime today. Sucks for you.
Yeah.
Here's an 8-hour ahead of time phone call. No. that
Exactly.
sucks.
It could be like 20
Terrible.
minutes. You never know. It could be like 8 hours from now. It could be like 20 minutes from now.
That's terrible.
I know,
That's
right?
I still want to. I want to read
Like,
that
you
though.
need a better. Like, what are you basing this on? Like, you need something that's a little bit more accurate. Anyways, history is all you left me.
I want to read that one too. Then see the
before-
other ones.
Really good.
They sound more up my alley.
Because his writing's so good, but the sadness part always like for me. I'm really looking forward to him co-writing a book with Becky Evertally because her stuff.
Yeah!
I'm
Yes.
really curious to see like how that book turns out because like they both like write such very different like
Yeah.
totally their books are so different.
She's so happy, and his books are like deep and sad. So he's gonna be like, "I thought we would kill them both at the end," and she'll be like, "What? No." I'm
I
picturing
lots of
this between-
kissing.
I thought they
It'll be
would all
interesting
die.
to do like 2 points of view, and one of the characters is like super upbeat and happy, and one of them is just everything is awful.
I'd read that. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, I will read that book for sure.
I'm excited.
Oh
for
yeah,
that book.
100%.
Mhm.
I also like how they both have basically been telling the internet that it's happening, and everyone's so surprised. But they're like, literally, I tweeted like a year ago that I finished this book. Like, I don't get why you guys are so surprised about it.
Well, they did like. I think the reason people are surprised is because like a while back, like there was like a thing that was like, you know, like what 2 authors would you love to see co-write, and everyone kept saying them, and they were like, oh, we could never co-write a book. Our books are so different. And they even did like a text message, like a screenshot of their text messages where they're like, hey, the world wants us to like write a book together, and it was like, I know it was like showing like how different they were. Like she was like, oh, to be super happy. He's like, oh, I was thinking we could kill them or something. And so like they did it. Like, they're like, we'll never write a book together. Our books are too different. And then like a few months later, they're like, surprise, we wrote a book together. So
That's awesome. I didn't know
That's
that.
so
Okay.
fun.
That's so funny.
So does anyone have anything they really, really loved about this book? Or a favorite element to the story? I already have one, so I'll just go while you guys think.
Yeah.
I really liked the realism of it, of like, it wasn't just like the first person you're with them forever. Like the main character is in like sort of 3 different relationships throughout the story, and like it felt more like realistic high school senior mentality and just kind of trying to figure it all out. Like it felt a lot more realistic than a lot of YA books.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
on that
that's true.
same vein, I really liked that Griffin and Jackson like didn't like get together like long term. You know, that it was just like kind of a fling.
I was worried that was going to happen. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah, because I feel like that's like the stereotypical thing to have happen is like have like the 2 former boyfriends get together, and so I'm glad that that didn't work out. Like that was very realistic. That like they like went to each other for comfort, but it was like not a
Yeah.
healthy
And not
relationship.
even just didn't work out. Like they look back on it as, oh, we shouldn't have done that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of one the point that I made when I said that, like, that's what I really liked about it is that it was like, again, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, they're gonna fall in love, and then they're gonna be happily ever after, and like the rift between them both is gonna heal, and then they're gonna be a couple and stuff. But it wasn't, and I really liked that because I think I was talking with this about one of my friends, how I was saying like the first person that's introduced in the story opposed to the protagonist is usually the love interest, and then like that's it forever and always. They're gonna be. It's always like the first person of the opposite gender is like, oh, that's love interest. And I mean,
I
now
wasn't even thinking of
LGBT
that
is
because it was like the death story. Like I wasn't even looking at Jackson like that. It was, but for me, it was like at 15 or 25%. I almost thought I wasn't gonna finish it because it was like, okay, he's dead, and they weren't even together when he died. Like everything is just terrible.
Well, I actually really, really liked Theo. I think that's one of the, like, my favorite parts of it. No. Like, hear me out. I really like Theo's character because he's not really that good of a person. And that's why I loved it so much. Because, like,
Listen,
at first...
we're not gonna fight because I hate Theo.
No.
Yeah.
I get your reason now. Okay.
No, but like that's the thing, because that's like he dies, and then you're just you only know him through stories that like Griffin's telling. So you're like, oh man, like he was so sweet, and like the way they met was so cute, and like there's just the comic book thing, like they're all so together, and like, oh, that's so sweet. But then like as you start hearing more stories, you're like, that doesn't sound like something a boyfriend would do. Or like, oh, that's interesting. And like I think at one point,
oh, go ahead first.
Oh, like at one point he says, like he moves across the country, and then he's like, oh well, you know, if I ever move back, like yeah, we could you know, have a thing again, but like I'm dating someone else now. But so he's just kind of like stringing him along, and there was never any like definite we're gonna break up or we're gonna be together. Like yeah, so I was like that was the interesting part where like as you go on, you're like, man, Theo really wasn't that good of a person, and he was kind of a jerk to Griffin, like in this relationship thing. But that's why I loved him, because I guess the, you know, Shadow of Grief, everyone likes to think about people as like the best that they ever were, and maybe they weren't that good, and that's what I really liked about his writing. So I was expecting it to be like, oh, this like holy, you know, being of an ex-boyfriend was the most amazing thing in the universe, and then he wasn't.
See, I wouldn't say that I liked him as a character, but I liked what the author Adam did with him. So
Yes,
sort of the same
kind of
thing. I like that he turned out not to be a saint, and like that's very much obvious later. And like like even when Griffin is like making excuses for him, Wade, who is like still his best friend, but he's like, no, dude, like what he's doing to you is not okay and it's not acceptable. So
yeah, I really like that. And
yeah, I like Wade.
Tied into the realism of as well, because like how many relationships in high school are perfect and everyone does exactly like, the drama is just nonstop, whereas in a lot of YA books it's all just so adorable all the time.
Yeah, and you're so immature as teenagers and like not yourself yet. Like you're still developing, and like relationships are going to be messy. It's just inevitable, you know.
Yeah. And even like early on, Theo was not great, because I remember I didn't like him like from early on in the book when he was like when like Griffin's talking about like his OCD, and he's like, oh no, those are just your cute little quirks.
Oh yeah,
like, they're just quirky, you know. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I actually really like how the OCD was handled later in the book because like initially Theo was very much like, oh, it's fine, it's just your quirks, like don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's cute, and like and then later Griffin admits that like I think he saw me as like novelty, like I was like a shiny toy, these quote unquote quirks, and then I really like how they like expanded on that later and was like no help from other people and maybe taking over my life. And I don't know, I really like that from like someone who has like anxiety and often sees it portrayed as like this quirky, like artsy thing. And you're like, no, sometimes you need to go to a therapist because your life isn't okay. So
yeah.
Am I being weird and screechy?
Yeah. It's on and off.
Oh, weird. Emma was doing that. Now it's my turn.
Yeah, it was really a really good representation of OCD, I thought. Because like I know someone who has OCD and it's very similar to Griffin's OCD, like the even numbers and like having to be on certain sides of things, like
yeah, just always aware of those things of like always on that side and always counting, even when it's like you wouldn't think it would work into the story, it's just always part of his character, which I really like.
Totally.
Yeah, actually, that was something that I read a book recently. I won't say what it is, but that was kind of it, where the mental illness, because it was like such a big part of the book, but then it wasn't really a big part of the book. It just kind of like came up sporadically, and I was like, that's not how mental illness works at all. And that was kind of what I was disappointed in, because I was like, well, you know, in this situation, if they were really like that, they would have still thought about it this way, or they would have thought about it here, but they also would have thought about it after, like that kind of thing. And you know, so that's what I kind of like tainted that book for me, because I was like, yeah, like it's not really that realistic, but this did a good job of it because it did it throughout the whole book.
Not just when it was like important for plot.
Yeah, it's not like a plot device of like, oh, I need him to like be weird right now. So,
which I think
I also have like it's been a couple months since I read this book, so if I see something like weird, you're like, that's not what happens. That's just because.
And I think part of the difference with that is the fact that like Adam Silvera like does have OCD, and like he based Griffin's OCD on his own, and that really shows. Because I think when you don't have it, you're going to forget to include it at certain points. You know, you're not going to realize that the character would be thinking about it, but like when you're writing from like a place of experience, you're going to know like this thing is going to bother him. So
yeah. I feel like we're just gonna go like down a rabbit hole. I'm trying not to quite go down, but I was talking with one of my friends about that, how, you know, someone's like, oh man, like I'm so depressed, and I'm like, you can be sad and you can be happy, and there are things that warrant sadness, and there are things that warrant you being, you know, a certain, like being down for a while, but it's very different. Like being sad is very different than having depression, and that was a thing that I think he's doing very well, is like incorporating mental illnesses into his books.
Mhm.
I hope that I get to see it more in something that he writes next.
Yeah. How do I sound now? I'm trying the holding the mic
Great.
thing. Okay.
Actually, you're good.
Cool. I'm just having my hand glued to the side of my face the whole time. No, I actually really like that too, that it was like a part of the story. Like it wasn't the main central focus, but it was also like very much part of the narrative because it's a part of his life. Like that's something I was trying to do in my current work in progress, and I'm finding it hard because I'm like, how much of the plot should it be? Does it need to be the plot? Is it like a weird tacked on thing? But like that's also how it is in real life. It's like it doesn't leave you. It pops up at random inconvenient times and like messes up what you're doing essentially. So I don't know. I kind of might reread it and study how he did it because like my character's intrusive thoughts as well. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna kind of like study how he did it and when he brought it in. And I don't know. I think he did a really good job with that. So.
We've got a couple comments. Megan's not here and I'm new at this, so come easy on me. I'm sorry if I missed anything. And Griswold is with Aaron 100%, 4 out of 5 stars. Only read it because of book club and happy they did.
Awesome.
And they also enjoyed the line when Griffin says, "History is all you left me." They thought they were going to tear up after reading that line, and they are not a crier. Just really felt loneliness. Oh.
It's such a good title. He has the best titles.
Yeah,
it like makes me mad how good he is at titling books.
I also love, like, if a title is super long, I'm super down for it. Like I love really long titles. So he has More Happy Than Not, They Both Die at the End, History Is All You Left Me. Like, perfect. Like, give me that over, like what's it? Like, looking at myself now. I'm like, what do I not want? What do I want better than that?
Yeah, I am clearly a fan of the long titles too.
yes, you are.
Mine is ridiculous, but yeah, I like his titles too. Because
they're like the Briny Gray. It's coming out in February. Everyone should get it. It's gonna be great.
Little plug there.
Yep, shameless plug. I plugged us so much this weekend. You've no idea, because I've gone to a couple Halloween things, and a lot of the, like, with friends of friends, and they're all writers, and I'm like, hey,
nice.
So I'm part of this vlogging group.
The WordNerds.
Yes, exactly. We're all wonderful.
I find myself trying to explain the WordNerds quite frequently. I'm like, what? I'm vlogging, and everyone's like, what? Like, let me explain the WordNerds to you and how amazing they are.
If you're like hanging out with people on a Sunday, and you're like, well, I have to go home because I have this thing.
Yeah, I have to go on my computer.
Yeah, and go talk to some people
on the internet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How did you guys like how the families of all of the guys were incorporated?
I really
into
liked
the
it.
story?
They
Yeah, I
were,
liked it.
yeah.
I really
they were
liked
present. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I like how they were all present, but I really like Theo's family just because it's like something that they were so close for so long. So like the parents are like, you know, my second son, like, let us, you know, like, help us out kind of thing. And he feels really bad for them. And then also, like, his own family isn't kind of not really there, kind of, sort of.
I think Griffin's family was fairly.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think, like, who was who.
they're
I'm like,
there.
oh dear.
Yeah, Griffin's family is like, they're super, like, his parents are still super in love, and they have a great relationship to the point where it's not like.
The part where it's mushy. Which I think is
We
cute.
read this.
Actually, they all had good families. Like Wade, Theo, Jackson. Jackson's parents were split up. Maybe that's who you're thinking
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I just remembered, yeah, because there's like the whole scene. It's like the memory scene where like Griffin's dad like finds Griffin and Theo, and they're like buying condoms at the store.
Yeah.
Oh
That's like one of my favorite
So
things. I'm like,
good.
look, and I'd forgotten about it.
So
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Oh, I
So
forgot
good.
about that. It was such a good scene. Like feeling secondhand embarrassment for them, but like it's so good. Well, actually, it's just like a good scene because it's like super, like having just like talking about sex and relationships, and it was just super like not a big deal put in the book, and I think that was really good. But then also it just made it hilarious because they're just like, oh god, it's my dad, like, oh god,
Yeah.
like
It was amazing.
everyone's gonna know. Like, it was pretty funny.
I actually really liked how the relationship was handled, and how when they came out to their parents, it wasn't like their parents were so good about it, and they were like not even very surprised. They're like, okay, like Cool. Congrats, you guys.
Yeah, I think one of them said, like, I thought it would take a few more years to get to
Yeah,
this point.
yeah. I really liked that because, like, I think it's important to have books about, like, coming out and acknowledging that it doesn't always go well, because that happens a lot. But, like, I also do like books where the parents are supportive and, like, it doesn't become, like, a main central plot, because I think, you know, it's important to have books that are like, hey, you know, queer people don't live always lives of, like, sadness and, you know, like, oh, my life is miserable because I'm queer. No, that's not, you know, he's miserable because his boyfriend died, not because he's, you know, in a same-sex relationship. So I really liked that that was, like, it was in the book. It wasn't, like, the central focus, and it was a really positive thing more than anything else. So I appreciated that.
Like, those are my favorite.
Yeah, this book very easily could have just been, like, a heterosexual relationship, and people, like, it wasn't a huge difference just because they were gay. Yeah. Which is nice to have some. Like, sometimes you need books that are about, like, specifically being gay, but it's nice to have books too.
Both books are needed. I wish we had more of this kind of book, because I don't always need to read about doom and gloom when people come. It doesn't always need to
doom and gloom in this.
yeah, a different kind of gloom. Yes, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like, I like books that just, well, there are books about gay protagonists, and there are books with gay protagonists. I think that's a big difference. And I love Simon versus the Homo sapien Jinja. It's a great book. And that's just a book about a gay protagonist, because it's him, like, I don't know, like, coming into myself, I have these feelings, like, I think I'm gay. And, like, that's totally fine, because you need a book like that sometimes to be able to have the courage to come out to whoever you want to. But then there are books like this where it's just like, yep, they're gay. Okay, like, his boyfriend died, we're moving on with the story. Like, that's just just a piece of him.
Yeah, I think there's always, like, it's always going to be, because the world isn't as progressive as we would like it to be, it's always going to be like a thing in the plot, but, like, doesn't necessarily have to be the central plot. Like, it's always going to be like, oh, are people going to be accepting of this? Like, it's always going to be a thought in the back of the character's mind. But unless they're living, like, in a solely gay community, which is unlikely. But
although in this book, it kind of was that. Like, it was barely a thing, and, like, all three of their friend group ended up being gay, and it just wasn't even a thing.
That
like,
was,
I
was like,
I liked that.
Okay, sure,
I liked
but
that.
I liked it too, but it was a little like, oh, well, that's convenient that we don't need to add anyone else in. Just everybody's gay.
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, there's so many books where
Bisexual.
straight,
Theo was
so
bisexual.
Yeah, Theo was bisexual.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't one of them by
Don't forget.
yeah. Well, also,
Did
like,
you guys
actually,
see
I was
the
just
Wade
thinking,
thing coming, or
Not at all.
sorry, what?
did you see the Wade thing coming? Like Wade having kind of
Oh, no.
thing for Griffin.
No.
I can't remember.
Not at all. Not at all.
I just remember being like, oh, by the way, I'm in love with you. And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
No,
Like,
so there were little things of, like, Wade got him the best Christmas present, and, like, so Wade had really been, you can see it in, like, Wade is really paying attention the whole time.
Yes.
And Wade was being kind of weird in, like, the current time, so you knew something was going on, and, like, something had happened.
Yeah. And
Maybe
Wade
I'm
got
just exceptionally
Wade
unobservant.
got really Wade got mad when he saw him with Jackson. And, like, initially I was like, that was a strong reaction, but I didn't, like, think much of it until later. I was like, oh, so much makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and in, like, the current timeline, like, Wade and Griffin aren't talking. Like, they are. So something's happened between them, and you don't know what.
But when he came to the door with cupcakes and saw Jackson, and then he, like, threw the cupcakes.
Yeah.
And I was like, what just happened?
I think that was
later,
when I was like, oh, I think I know what's happening.
Yeah.
And it didn't, like, I didn't clue in until he, like, kissed him, and then I was like, what?
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, oh, okay.
Cupcakes was when I was like, wait.
No,
Well,
it should have, like, made something go off in my mind when he was, like, so upset. And I'm like, he bakes him stuff all the time. Like, that's should have been
What a good friend.
yeah.
Well, I want to say, like, slightly going back to the thing about how, like, everyone here is gay, and everyone here is, like, accepting of that. It's great. I was thinking, like, oh, all Adam Silvera books have that, but they don't, because I read this one first, so More Happy Than Not I read after this, and that is, again, a book that you really want to read, Erin. Oh my gosh. But, like, in that's a huge part of the main character. And I mean, it's not a spoiler because it's part of the plot line, so I'm just going to kind of, like, say the summary of it, is that he wants to have his memories wiped by this corporation that can wipe memories because he thinks that he's gay and he doesn't want to like give up his girlfriend and like have his parents be ashamed of him. So like that's why he wants to do it. And so that's a really huge internal struggle with him. And it's so good to read. It's such an emotional book. It makes you think so hard about things. I thought it was so well done.
Now I want to read it.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's so good.
It's so funny what we said about like, oh, how it's convenient Wade is gay, because I'm just like, my book, I'm like, everyone is queer. Literally everyone.
Oh yeah, right. Like, everyone's gay. Like, what am I doing?
You don't like it. It's
do
it's
it.
great.
Do it.
It is happening.
We have a question. Can we talk about that horrible Thanksgiving dinner with Griffin's extended family?
Oh my gosh,
Oh my
I forgot
God.
about that.
The cousin part, I was like,
that.
punch him, punch him.
I don't remember that. What was it?
His cousin was being a total butthead, basically.
Oh.
And said,
Just
why don't
shortly after the funeral, his parents
Yeah.
go to like an extended family dinner thing, and his cousin got all like, "You weren't even his boyfriend. Like, you'd already broken up. Why are you sad?" And his great
that sounds like
grandmother keeps being all like, "Oh, when's Theo coming over?" And
She's like senile.
Yeah.
Oh. I feel like I think I remember the grandmother. Yeah, that sounds.
I
like
remember
a
the cousin.
Scene. I don't remember reading this.
No, the grandmother isn't so bad because he handles that pretty well. But like when his cousin is like, "Why are you even sad about it?" I'm like, "What the heck? What is the matter with your cousin?"
Everyone has that like awful cousin, so that was his.
Especially
Some
because
of us have
like
more
Theo,
than one.
Yeah, Theo at Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
so
same.
like, why isn't everyone sad? He was always at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I find that weird. I don't know. It doesn't go into the fact that maybe the cousin has problems too or something. Like, I would have liked a little more insight into that. Not a lot, but just like, why is he randomly being such a jerk face? Like, it seems like unusual behavior. Maybe I just don't know anyone that horrible. I don't know.
I'm out of questions.
I think the like whole thing with Wade, I liked it, but I think that was the thing that I felt like was kind of rushed towards the end. Like I feel like, I don't know, like the ending felt like it came up really quickly. Like it was like things were like moving at like this very steady pace, and then it was like everything all at once, and then it was over.
Yeah, there was everything with Wade, and then like the phone call and Jackson not going into the water, and like it was just a lot of stuff at the end.
Yeah, and it felt like him and Wade got back together very suddenly and quickly.
Well,
After
they're not
like all
technically
this time of them being mad at each other, like they
but
suddenly
they're
were
not
together.
technically back together. They're
That's
just
true,
being trying to be friends again.
That's true.
But
I forgot about
yeah.
that.
yeah. So, what was I gonna say? There was something I was gonna say regarding that. Nope, can't remember. Great. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I was super morbidly curious because they never go into why he drowned. They just say he went out too far. So I'm like,
Because they don't know because he's dead. He can't tell them.
Yeah, but Jackson was there, but I guess he didn't
Doesn't
see
know why.
what happened. Yeah, because I was like, did he get a cramp? Was he like, is there a riptide? Like,
I think that's
I don't
supposed to be
know.
part of the like mystery of the story because Griffin thinks he might have done it because of him kind of thing.
But I don't think that he ever contemplated that he had like committed suicide, right? Like he
I
was
think
just
it's kind of implied that he wonders.
really.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
okay.
wonders if Theo committed suicide because there was the whole like conversation they had on the phone or something right before.
Oh.
So he,
I didn't
Even
pick up
without
on
the
that.
suicide thing, he wouldn't have been in the water without the phone call thing.
yeah, he
Yeah.
wasn't.
That's what I got, that he felt jealous for driving him into the water, basically, because he was like upset and he wanted to go in alone. I didn't pick up on him. Maybe he killed himself by,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
Because like Jackson could see that something was going wrong, but they never really go into what. Like Jackson was in trouble.
He just said he ended up going out too far by himself. And I don't know what that means. Like if he got tired or there was like a riptide or like what happened.
A shark. I don't know.
I think
They would have mentioned that.
Have a Jaws moment is in there.
It was a Jaws moment. They would have mentioned that.
It's absolutely horrific, but nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. We'll just never know. A mermaid.
That would be a very different book.
Yes, it would.
I don't think anyone would give Jackson a hard time for not going out to fight the shark.
Why didn't you punch the shark in the gills, Jackson?
I can imagine him like swimming out and then be like, nope, and then just like, be like, oh no.
What did you guys think of Griffin's reaction to Jackson when Jackson said, "I didn't go after him"?
I thought it was weird that was something he was upset about.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Like, I don't know. I'm just not a super great swimmer, so my first reaction would be get a professional, not like, I got this.
I think it was like a bad reaction, but it also felt very in line with Griffin's character.
That's true, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he also wants someone to blame, and he needs something to.
Because he was blaming himself already. He wanted to be able to blame someone else. So
yeah, exactly.
Definitely made sense with this character, but also it's like, what did you expect him to do?
Yeah,
he's not a lifeguard.
Yeah.
Like rationally, it doesn't make sense, but he wasn't being rational. So
true. Yeah, because when I first read that part and he was like, "You're a coward," and runs away, I'm like, really? Like, seems rough.
Like it seems like something to be a little upset about, but not like a flee the state, I'm never talking to you, storm out.
Oh, well, and he punches him in the face.
Oh,
twice.
Yeah. So that seemed like a bit much, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that part was a little like I guess he wasn't
like
rational either.
Exactly. Like they go to tell the parents that as well, and the parents had the right reaction of like, no.
Yes. Yeah.
None of this is on you guys. Like.
Yeah. Exactly. Everyone plays a what if game, but like I feel like I could have done with like some reaction after Griffin's initial like punch him in the face reaction, like him sitting there afterwards maybe and being like, wow, I really overreacted, or like some acknowledgement of the fact that like that wasn't cool. I don't know if there was or not. I can't quite remember.
There was kind of like a mild mutual apology, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. But like I would have done with like an immediate, like as he's sitting on the plane or something, like shouldn't have done that. Like it wasn't his fault, like that type of thing. But that didn't really happen, I don't think. So I don't know. Also, okay, the diagnosis from the therapist saying that you have, what did he say? He has OCD, and then he also has delusional disorder.
Yeah, I saw that as well. And I
excuse
that
me.
in the book.
No, I was like, okay, it's a common actual therapy to write letters to or talk to someone that you've lost. Why on earth would a therapist be like, you're delusional?
I never even made the leap between him talking.
That's what the end of the book said. He went to a new therapist or the old one. I can't remember which one it was, but one of them told him he put him on actual medication because not only does he have OCD, but because he is delusional.
I saw the delusion thing, but I never saw the because of the talking to the ex-boyfriend.
Well, yeah, because you're not really there.
Oh, okay.
That's what. Yeah.
Oh.
I guess that was like implying that like Griffin in a way really did think that he was talking to like that Theo was like there and he was.
But I don't.
It was more than just like it wasn't a coping thing. It was like that he literally like did. Think
I just feel like that's so like. I mean, I really would have wanted him to say something about that because I was like, if you're religious, you do think that, and it's not a delusion. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
That's really strange. I found that odd.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I did feel that like Griffin's his like I don't know how to put it, like the way he was like speaking to Theo did seem kind of weird for the whole book. Like it didn't feel like a healthy, normal thing to me.
Oh no, because he was angry. But like all I thought was that he's angry and he's coping.
But even then, like if your grandmother dies and you were angry at her, you don't narrate your whole life to her for the next year.
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah. If you think about how long he did it for. Yeah. I mean, that's fair, I guess. But I still would have wanted more exploration of why. Yeah. Because like that, I was like, wait, what? And I'm flipping through and there's nothing else about that. And I'm like, excuse me? Like you were delusional this whole time? So I don't know.
Well, also, I don't have that and I don't know anybody that does have that. So maybe there is signs in there and I just didn't pick up on them.
I don't know.
Like the OCD thing, I was like, oh yeah, sure, like I get that, but yeah, the delusional disorder, I was like, yeah,
I don't know. That was just such a brief mention, and it's not mentioned again. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I just went for more of like I guess I missed that.
Yeah, I don't know. So that was interesting, but it was not touched on very much except for that one. The therapist said this, so I'm on medication, and then we moved on, and I went, wait, what?
What?
Yeah.
On the same topic, and Griswold asks, how long did it take you to realize Griffin was talking to Theo? I thought the story was kind of odd until I figured out he was talking to his dead ex.
I think it started off right away, didn't it? Now I have to look.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember thinking.
Oh yeah,
much of it when I
right
read it.
away, like page 1, you're still alive in alternate universes, Theo. Yeah, so that was pretty clear.
Yeah, I don't think I picked up right away that he was directly talking, like that everything was talking to Theo.
Oh really?
You're right
normally
there.
that doesn't.
My
What
phone
happened?
fell
That
off
was like a ding.
My phone fell off my desk.
Okay. Like face of pure panic. I was like, whoa, okay. There.
So like you dropped a little cash register or something.
No, it like hit the metal like leg
Oh,
of the
oh.
desk and on its way down, and yeah, it was a whole mess. It like knocked it off.
The whole thing. Yeah. No, that's funny because I picked up on it right away and I didn't really think anything of it. Like I was like, oh, it's a cool narration style, not like a surprise or a delusion. But apparently that was just me. Apparently that's just normal to me. Delusional, apparently. I guess. I don't know.
Erin talks to all of her dead loved ones.
Don't you guys all talk to dead people?
She
No?
narrates
Okay.
her life.
Dang it, it's out.
It's been too long for me. I can't remember if I did
Yeah,
think anything of it or not.
I think sometimes I pick up on weird things that other people are like, oh, I didn't think that was weird or anything. I don't know.
never picked up on anything, so.
And then other things, well, sometimes people like really obviously pick up on it and I'm like, oh, there was a what? Like I didn't, I read the whole thing. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Same.
Yeah, I've been trying to stop yawning this whole chat.
It's
Yeah,
like 5 o'clock in our time, and
I
it's like,
know.
I'm so tired.
I know, it's ridiculous. I went to a Halloween party the other night and stayed up till like 11:30, and I'm an old person, so I'm tired now.
Oh man, I was at a Halloween. I went to a Harry Potter themed Halloween party yesterday, and it was
Nice.
kind of great. But I was also up till 3:30 in the morning, so I didn't even drink or anything. It was just a bunch of introverts dressed in Harry Potter costumes drinking tea. It was great.
See, that sounds lovely.
It was awesome. It was like the best party I've been to all year.
That sounds great. See, because I went to it was called a taco party. There were tacos.
What?
It was awesome. And we were all, the only thing we were allowed to dress up in was like dollar store costumes. So you had to go find a dollar store costume, which was awesome. And yeah, obviously pregnant, so I'm not drinking either. So I like came with like a giant thing of Tim Hortons tea. Hi, I'm ready to party with your tacos and dollar store.
That sounds like
costume.
such a fun
It was really
themed
interesting
party.
because everyone got super creative because like
Yeah,
what
dollar
can you get
store.
from the dollar store? Yeah.
What were some of the best costumes?
The best one was probably somebody got the paper bag princess and like they just got like paper bags and yeah, made themselves a crown and a dress. And then her boyfriend was dressed up as the snotty prince and he had like the tennis racket. I don't know. I was like,
Oh
who's
my
he
gosh,
supposed
that's
to be? They brought the
awesome.
book with them so they could show people. It was really cute. Yeah. Oh, and my husband's was like the hands down laziest ones. He just got a best costume pin and put it on. And he went to the best costume.
Amazing.
Terrible.
That's pretty great.
Anyways, super off topic.
Hey, lots of Harry Potter stuff happens in this book. Okay, lots of nerdiness.
That is true.
That's true.
I did like that they both had like their own nerdy thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot. One of my favorite scenes was when they're going to trivia night, and there's like a Harry Potter question. So Griffin goes up and he gets it wrong, and I was just like, "Oh, baby! Like, oh my god! Like,
I'm so sorry for
nervous that you got it
you. Yeah.
wrong. Like, oh no! Oh, I forgot. Oh yeah, it was a good scene.
And at least there, like Theo was super nice and supportive of like, oh, I totally would have gotten it wrong in that situation too. And,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did.
I
Yeah.
think it's the interesting thing about Theo is that he's not like a bad person, but he's not like a super good person either. Like he's not like so bad that you're like, oh, he's
I thought he
awful
was
and
just
abusive
kind
or
of a
anything.
normal person. That, like,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like you get why Griffin was in love with him because he did do really sweet things and like
yeah.
I love like when they go to the flea market and like find each other's stuff.
Oh
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
talking to the hipster. Yeah. Oh, memories coming back.
Cute.
Okay.
I was glad there were a few like just solid contemporary romance cute things. Like it's not all sad.
Yeah.
Well,
Although
history is all you
Just
left
most
me.
of it.
every cute thing is tainted by sad.
Because like then you remember
Yes.
that he's dead, and it is sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we did pretty well for a book club discussion. Like we made it pretty far. We talked about things. Did anyone
It's
have
such a good book.
Yeah. Anyone have anything else they wanted to quickly touch on? Or?
Not really.
No.
Aside from the crying in Starbucks thing, if I read any more of his books, I am not going to be taking them out in public.
Yeah, you might not. I finished More Happy Than Not in a coffee shop, and it was a terrible idea. I wasn't crying. I was just like, oh my god, what is happening right now? Oh my god. I don't know how to feel.
Yeah. I'm glad I read this. Like I was really, really hesitant because I knew I was never going to be in the mood for it, but the writing kept me hooked. I read it really quickly. And like
I
was
read it in a
different for
day.
me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure. It's definitely a fast read.
Yeah. It's kind of a nice thing about book club. It kind of gets you to pick up things that maybe you wouldn't otherwise. And
Yeah.
It's true.
although I guess we can transition into not technically next month's book club, but the next book club is one that a lot of people will probably have read because it's
Oh yes.
So we will be reading The Hate You Give, and it's amazing. If you haven't read it yet, you are missing out. Please, please, please read it. You have until I think December 3rd. It's gonna be.
Yep.
Yeah.
December 3rd.
So December 3rd, we are talking about that book, and it is so good. And there's gonna be so many things to talk about with this one. So
It's amazing
yes.
how long we
Yeah.
waited to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
right.
It's been like on the bestseller list. It's been number one on the bestseller
For
like
so
36
long, yeah.
Like all
I'm like,
year,
oh my
basically.
god.
Yeah.
Almost unheard of.
The
Yeah.
movie's
That's
almost
right.
finished.
yeah, I'm so excited.
It's so
excited.
good.
Okay,
Oh,
December 3rd,
man.
guys. December 3rd.
Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
See, that's a movie I know that I'm gonna be like, where's my waterproof makeup? Because I'm gonna sob. Like, even through the book, I was like, can't stop crying. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. We left that one so late because we knew a lot of people will hopefully have read it by the time we got there. So if you haven't yet, please do, because it's going to be a super great discussion and our last book club of the year. In the meantime, it's going to be all write-ins all the time through November.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll get a lot of writing done. We
All
also
the
have
write-ins.
another announcement on that front soon, like very soon. So
Yes.
I don't think we have anything super confirmed yet, so we'll
No,
hold on.
not yet.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. We don't usually get this much discussion out of a book club, so this was a really, really good one for us. Hopefully we will see you all through next week for all of our usual videos and kicking off NaNoWriMo, and then write-ins all through November. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we will see you all there. Bye.
Bye.